This is the fictional Jedi from Star Wars. The Jedi were overconfident and flawed. They suppressed their teachings and thought themselves good. They would automatically become generals in the Clone Wars. Their actions were questionable and helped their fall. Their failure was due to their ignorance of the dark side. Here is the assumed view of what they call Force ghosts. But that is not really true. Well before Disney, the Six told a real ancient myth, and these so-called Force ghosts were assumed that only because there was no other way to portray them on screen. Just as the striking with anger view, this is again ancient. The latter is the way karma was described, but the first as Jedi, they were important. Obi-Wan Kenobi and Yoda were the first called that, but they were not. Kenobi was not defeated and killed by Vader. As we see, Vader is as surprised when checking the old Jedi's robe. But this was transference of power seen in Disney's sequel, as he knew Luke needed a master to learn from. Obi-Wan quickly with a smirk to Vader, removed that crude matter and would only then be heard and seen by Luke. This would lead to his next master, Yoda, as Obi-Wan could only teach so much and needed Yoda as the most powerful Jedi for generations to be Luke's teacher. Obi-Wan's role is really a guide to Luke and to Yoda. His role and meaning is in his name, Obi. The heart from which all flows, and the saga really starts from him and the message he receives. That message is the start of a new hope, but he would not see in life its finale. As the whole point of the saga would then become the chosen one and the prophecy. It is Luke, as the son, who causes Vader or Anakin to be redeemed and finally act as the chosen one. It is Vader's realization when provoking Luke in Episode 6 that he realizes his choice to be the Emperor's servant. Mocking Luke about his sister is the catalyst to Luke attacking in an un-Jedi way, but noticing his emotion for his family and friends would be the way Vader would see his own downfall. It is Vader or Anakin in this moment where he realizes through his son, Luke, his mistakes. The Jedi who had failed not just him, but themselves, and how he would finally see the Emperor for the Sith Lord he was. His master had used and manipulated him as well as lied from the start. But as a child slave, Anakin knew no better than owning someone. He loved Padme, but his love would turn to owning her, as that is what he knew. The failure of the Jedi to end slavery on his home planet and their fear of attachment had made them become emotionless to loved ones. By taking in the young from their families, they were removing a love that is never broken. They're thinking maybe that teaching them young would be better than the love of their family and friends would be another suppression of the original Jedi teaching. They had lost their way, and were easily manipulated. Even if a few, as in Yoda, saw it ending, he or no one else would or could do anything. Their actions in the Clone Wars would be their final end. The downfall was their own doing. It could be said that when on Typhon they had by default seen themselves as good and the exiled Jedi as dark. Even before the exiled Jedi landed with the Sith purebloods, they had been already, whether default or because they disagreed, deemed their dark side rivals forever. Even when most Sith Lords avoided the Jedi, they then feared their dark ways had been set, but after millennia of no action or even meeting, the Jedi had become more ignorant and suppressed anything a master deemed too dark. They really helped the Sith onwards to be known and assumed wrongly. The Emperor's victory was not a Sith or dark side power, but a well-known greed of a corrupt politician. The whole saga tells that the enemy is not from some unknown place, but comes with a smile and is known to be a good liar and master manipulator. The Emperor would need to hide his Sith side from all but a few, while Emperor of his empire, and as before would need a Jedi to do his bidding. This is what Lucas is saying, that the darkness is just the opposite of light as in day and night, but to look within for it. When we put this into reality, we have a mistrust of politics and politicians. When did we vote for the one we want, not the best of a bad bunch? This is only a part of the story, in which we see how the Emperor has everything in place before taking absolute power. Even as a senator he has planned the regime and its needs beforehand. Others that are not mentioned are education, media, and the rewrite of archives, all help to make the Jedi, not just become the bad guys but forgotten within 20 years. With the heroes not knowing much or anything but myth about these guardians who had been in power for millennia. History repeats itself, and many times we just watch, and never either see it or do anything. Lucas asks the question, why not? And this is the history we lost, and for most there is no way to really know the truth. That Jedi Order was flawed, but Disney just repeated it again, making a pathetic Luke Skywalker who was well known but powerless. Rey, the blood of the Emperor, would take his family name and become, whether good or not, the next Jedi Order. The Emperor is repeating the original trilogy for himself with this version. Then teases the heroes with his unending power to which he gives clues to find him. Becoming a Force ghost is something only a few individuals have accomplished, but it requires training and devotion to the light side of the Force. Only the strongest Jedi have managed to do it. After all, becoming immortal is one of the most powerful things a Jedi can do. As Obi-Wan Kenobi said in A New Hope, "If you strike me down, I shall become more powerful than you can imagine." However, only Jedi can learn this power because it requires full devotion to the light side of the Force. Sith only study the dark side, making them unqualified to learn this power. Jedi who learn this secret can appear physically in the living world, surrounded by an ominous blue glow. They can walk, talk, and react with people just as if they were there. Since Jedi learn this by their unyielding devotion to the light side of the Force, their spirit bodies are sustained by the power of the Force. However, as Sith's selfish motives assure that they can never have a full life after death. Sith may not be able to become full Force spirits, but they can retain some level of consciousness by binding their spirit to something in the physical world. This could be a specific place, object, or even a person. Emperor Palpatine uses this tactic to stay alive in Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker. We see Luke Skywalker battle 9 Sith wraiths on Exegol, but their spirits are not alive in the Force. Rather, they are bound to the setting of Exegol. Luke can sense their presence with the Force, because the Force is not flowing through them. This shows us that while Jedi can become full Force ghosts through their devotion to the light side of the Force, the Sith can only imitate that power. Palpatine did say that their abilities were unnatural. Even after death, that rings true. Were Darth Revan, Palpatine, Darth Maul Force ghosts? No, these Sith were not Force ghosts. Force ghosts are fully visible and audible in the physical world and aren't limited by any time or setting. These Sith spirits are fully alive, and they are not being sustained in the Force. Rather, these Sith spirits are bound to the living world in a rejection of death. Their life, immortal as it may be, is cursed. In The Rise of Skywalker we see Kylo Ren meet Palpatine in his physical body on Exegol. However, Palpatine is limited to Exegol in his existence. His body looks frail and warped, scarier than his true Sith form. He seems to have more power than he did when he was alive, but his power is sustained unnaturally and is confined to the area of Exegol. This is not a proper Force ghost. Though many hardcore Star Wars fans have qualms with The Rise of Skywalker, this much remains true. Despite how far-fetched the storyline becomes, Sith cannot become a Force ghost. Since becoming a Force ghost requires a lot of training and devotion to the Force, only the most powerful Jedi have accomplished it. However, that doesn't mean that it's off-limits for other Jedi. When we see Jedi learn the secret to immortality, there aren't many Jedi left. Qui-Gon learned the secret to immortality and communicated with Yoda after Order 66 had already been executed. Most of the Jedi in that time were eliminated. Since the only Jedi left were Yoda and Obi-Wan, they learned the secret from Qui-Gon. From there, Anakin and Luke Skywalker also learned it. If there had been other Jedi present who were devoted enough to the light side of the Force, there would have been nothing stopping them from learning it as well. Learning the secret to immortality as a Force ghost is one of the most powerful things a Jedi can do. While living, a Jedi aims to live in full harmony and balance with the Force. Without the tether of their physical body, they can finally be fully immersed in the Force. Sith can never learn this power, as their devotion to the dark side of the Force forbids it. Any life after death they seek is cursed.